prize money for the orphans under his care, Martial Law, a Chinese-American cook who dreams of opening up his own martial arts dojo, Paul Phoenix, an American judo practitioner who aims to prove that he's the best fighter in the universe, Michelle Chang, a woman of Chinese and Native American descent who seeks revenge on Heihachi for murdering her father, Jack, a battle android programmed to terminate Kazuya, Yoshimitsu, the enigmatic leader of the Mansion clan of ninjas, who's aiming to steal the cash prize, and of course, Kazuya, who's finally ready to get some payback on his pops. But not only do these fighters have to worry about one another, they also have to face Heihachi himself in the grand finals before they can claim their $1 billion prize for themselves. Now, because this is an older fighting game, there's no story mode to speak of. The only sources of a narrative are the characters' individual arcade mode endings, and the information right outside the game, like wikis, instruction manuals, comics, and such. With Tekken, the focus is clearly more on gameplay than its own story, and that's perfectly fine. It's a tournament. There's a lot of dudes fighting each other. You get it.
I'm not moving.
It certainly shows its age, but it also possesses a charm that you could only find in games from the mid-90s era. The first thing one might notice when they sit down and play Tekken are the extremely blocky character models. There weren't that many polygons to go around in 1995, so we all made do with what we got. What's more important is that these character models still managed to convey the most important aspects of these characters at a glance. It's important to remember that fighting games like Tekken were initially arcade games, and your average arcade player didn't exactly have the time or even the access to the deeper information about the game that they were playing. Fighting game characters had to convey the critical information about themselves on the versus screen or during actual fights. You may not know much about King just by looking at him, but you can probably ascertain that he's mysterious since he wears a mask, and that he's got some unique grabs since he looks like a buff boy luchador. Relying on archetypes like this was the most efficient way to let your player base know who did what in your fighting game, and Tekken does just that. All of the characters definitely look unique and lively, especially when in motion. Tekken features 11 different stages, with each one representing a real-life location, such as Athens, Greece, and Kyoto, Japan. Now, these stages may be a bit primitive-looking since they're just static images in the background, but they do their job in providing a lot of visual variety, as well as establishing a strong and memorable sense of place while you're beating the hell out of your friends. Speaking of memorable, Tekken also displays the name of your location in the bottom right-hand screen while you play. Thank you, Liam Neeson.
I've contracted AIDS.
Now, if you grew up in the 90s, then Tekken's soundtrack will hit you in a place you probably forgot you had. It's dripping with that certain type of funk that was prevalent in fighting games of that era, and it works perfectly. The music is appropriately eclectic, since it has to represent a lot of locations around the world. There's upbeat tracks as well as ones that sound ominous and dire, but each track does its job of making you want to keep fighting while you hear it. I can definitely see my younger self popping his PlayStation disc into a CD player and jamming out. While Tekken's voiceover direction isn't the greatest, its sound effects still sound pretty devastating to this day. Without a doubt, Tekken is a bit rough around the edges when it comes to its presentation. Some of its cutscenes look downright disturbing. But when we consider that this game is 20 years old, and that it was one of the very first entries into the 3D fighting game genre, it's easy to see as to why it was so impressive at the time. Even today, it's clear that Tekken's visuals and audio do an excellent job of facilitating what's more important, the fighting. Tekken's gameplay is what any good fighting game's gameplay should be. Simple, yet deep. Anyone can pick up the controller and have a good time with Tekken, but mastering it will take a hell of a lot of time. Each character comes equipped with an extensive move pool that includes basic attacks, combo strings, and even special moves that require more complex joystick motions. Tekken also allows you to attack in different states of movement, such as while running or while getting up off the floor. You can even attack an opponent who's lying prone on the ground. Attacks can hit high, mid, low, and there are even powerful blows that can't be blocked at all. And just like many other successful fighting games, Tekken employs, for the most part, a rock, paper, scissors relationship between attacking, blocking, and throwing. One of the Tekken's franchise's most unique features is the button system. Whereas most other fighting games have its button correspond to strength or direction of the attacks, Tekken's 4 buttons each represent a different rhythm of the body. There's left punch, left kick, and right kick, and every attack in the game is performed with these combinations of these 4 buttons. This system makes Tekken feel a bit more intuitive than many other fighters out there, and honestly, it's kind of cool to be able to watch a character and to be able to understand, on a basic level, how a particular move or combo string is performed based on which of the character's limbs were used. Even though it only has 8 playable characters, Tekken's roster offers a variety of fighting styles for the player to choose from. Every character has their own set of strengths and weaknesses, so there's bound to be at least one character that clicks with you. Nina fills the role of a good character who demands precise execution. King is the game's go-to grappler, who gets big damage from his throws. Law applies pressure with his high and low mix-ups and flashy acrobatics. Paul prefers to rush the opponent down with strikes capable of blowing through their defense. Michelle excels at controlling the space between herself and the opponent. Jack boasts high damage, reach, and health at the expense of slow movement speed. Yoshimitsu possesses an entire arsenal of tricky, high-risk attacks to confuse his foes. And Kazuya rewards players for being patient and counterattacking with single, heavy strikes. It may not seem so